people make assumptions in SEO that are just plain wrong. There's assumptions that all of us have made that are incorrect. And the only way you'd know they're wrong is if you test them. But the truth is you outgrow it very quickly. A lot of people are gonna be offended with this and not like it.
Hi Ted, how are you?
Doing great. How are you?
Doing very well. My voice is a bit gone already.
Mine too.
Oh God, it's been quite a week, huh?
Yeah. An amazing week.
Very much indeed. I'm super glad that I got to meet you. I knew about you, I knew about your work, but to meet the person behind the brand is always very different.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So today you shared some really cool things, really cool things that I had the privilege to hear a bit of the one-on-one delivery of that, right?
Yep.
Around SEO testing and the virtues behind it, right? And so for those watching that might want to get immediate value SEO-wise, what are some of the most significant insights that you've gained from testing that people really shouldn't go without that if they want to do effective SEO?
Well, you kind of have to suspend the beliefs in the SEO religion. And so what I mean by that is that, people, they make assumptions, they assume Google's too smart for that, they use logic and reason, and they simply say, it seems sensible that it would work that way, therefore it must, or I heard 1,000 blogs say, do this, and all of those things are very bad practices. And in addition, people make assumptions in SEO that are just plain wrong. There's assumptions that all of us have made that are incorrect. And the only way you'd know they're wrong is if you test them.
What are some of the things that perhaps ick you the most, knowing what you know through testing, that get commonly said that you know to be wrong?
I always find that the people who will jump on my case never have data. Like, I always have data, I show data, but it takes time. It takes weeks sometimes to get data. And then other people without data just say, oh, that's all 2004. Well, all right, that's a zinger, but that's not data. And it turns out that a lot of the stuff that worked in 2004 still works today. White text on a white background, keyword stuffing, long lists of phone numbers. The Google Webmaster Guidelines, if you test them, they all work well. But if somebody turns you in, you'll get a manual action.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Google doesn't fix things. They're not interested in that. They're trying to make money. They put all their effort into making money. They haven't fixed a problem in SEO in years.
You spoke around things like keyword density and what's commonly believed, 5%, 6%.
Yeah, that's a good one. So what we did originally was we made simple static HTML pages that were, around, 1,500 words, and they would increase in keyword density by 2 all the way up to 96% keyword density. And when we isolated the variables correctly, which took about like 3 or 4 attempts, to be honest, it doesn't always work. When we'd search for the shared keyword between those pages, it would be a keyword like JL129634558RQZ1. And so the universe has never seen that keyword before, and we used it as the common keyword for our test. So when we searched it, we would see all the test and control cases and the rankings for that imaginary term. And we were surprised. Google sorted them all in descending order by keyword density. And so then we knew that keyword density is a thing. It might not be the strongest thing, but it is a thing. And from then on, whenever we had new testers start in our testing group, we would have them start with keyword density because it was a known outcome. We'd know their testing situation was set up. And also, it's the most common mistake in SEO testing. So if you fail to control your variables most of the time, you have created a keyword density test.
You mentioned that, yeah.
Yep.
You said something to me as well that I really liked, that bad SEO is actually extremely hard to find. What you typically find is incomplete SEO, if you could elaborate on that one.
Yeah, there is bad SEO. Google does scorch earth from time to time, but it's extremely rare to find. And I have a SEO tester friend named Carolyn Holzman who actually collects these rare examples of scorched earth so that we can investigate them in the Wayback Machine and test with them to see what they're still capable of doing and see if they're recoverable in some form. And what I know about scorched earth is the SEO you fired didn't do bad SEO. They didn't make your site scorched earth. All they did was incomplete SEO. They did the parts they know, and they skipped the parts they didn't know. And that only gets you so far. And when you figure out what you're missing, I mean, you shoot like a rocket. And so people are always like detuning their pages and pruning their pages and stuff like that. That's the last thing you'd ever want to try. All right. You don't start there. You end there when all else fails. And the reason is because when you prune your content, it's a 50-50 proposition. When we studied the outcomes of pruning content, we would have people delete either the top 50% or the bottom 50% of their pages. And we'd see what would happen. And they would randomly go up and down because it turns out they were, just unknowingly randomly changing keyword density. When you screw up a test, you end up testing keyword density, and that's what you're doing when you prune your content. And so since it's 50-50, those are horrible odds. It should never be the first thing you do.
In the subject of incomplete SEO, around links specifically, right? You shared some of your cases back when PageRank was publicly available.
All right, so you want my brain dump on backlinks?
Please, if I may.
Okay, so a lot of people are gonna be offended with this and not like it, but it's truth, and truth hurts sometimes, so I'm sorry if you don't like it. But everybody's hung up on getting a quality backlink profile. And the problem with that is it doesn't scale, it's very unnatural. And it's unnecessary. It's super expensive, and people they try to obtain it forever, for years, but the truth is you outgrow it very quickly. So with PageRank, I have the luxury of having walked a website up from PageRank 0 to PageRank 8 back when Google was publishing it in the Google toolbar. And when that website at that time was teetering on 7.9 and 8, that was 12.5 million backlinks.
Do you remember roughly how many referring domains that was also?
No, because I wasn't looking at that at the time.
Oh, I see.
But it makes sense. 12.5 million, the floor of PageRank 8. That means the floor of PageRank 9 would be 120 million, and the floor of PageRank 10 would be, 1.2 billion. And it works the other way. So if it's 12.5 million, then it's a 1.25 million going down to PageRank 7, 125,000 going to PageRank 6, 12,500 going to PageRank 5. So you can kind of get an idea on the ballpark of what these ladder rungs look like. And the problem is, by the time you get around to PageRank 5 shooting for PageRank 6, you need a $20 million link building budget to get to the next level. And I don't know anybody who has that. IBM doesn't put that much money into links.
Yeah.
And they could pay it, but they don't. So who on earth is going to do SEO that way? And it turns out that when you look at the backlinks, when you do a study of the backlinks at the highest levels of PageRank, it's websites like eBay and Walmart and Amazon and Google, their backlinks are awful. It's because at those amounts, at that logarithmic scale, they're approaching very closely to the average quality of an average internet backlink. And it turns out that quality is very low. And so what that tells me is you need very good reasons to ever say no to a backlink. Like, it has to be really bad, because just the plain bad ones you need to take, because it's a game of averages in the end. And if you're throwing away the averages, you're never going to win. So a quality backlink profile is a small website's game. It's very unnatural and it doesn't scale. Its sole reason for being is to make a PageRank 0 page behave like a PageRank 2 page. And that's a good start. That's its function. And that can help a plumber make his phone ring. That's a good application of it. But you don't continue working on that for years and years and years, because you're over-investing in something that probably won't have a return. Because you need, think of it this way, for every point of PageRank you want to achieve, you need to get 10 times the links at half the cost of the previous tier. And by PageRank 5, you need to get all of your links for free. So you need to change your strategy to something viral, to something media buy, something black hat. Don't do that. But I mean, those are the options you're given once you hit that level. And people don't realize it, and they overinvest in something that'll never have a return.
Yeah. My experience, right, doing primarily link building for the last 3 years, is it depends massively where the client is comparatively against the people who are ranking where they want to rank. And for the vast majority of small, medium-sized businesses, how they spend the first $10,000 matters way more than how they spend the second $10,000. Because if they get proper links at the beginning, they really build that layer of trust, trustable size, relevant, all the good stuff that people aim for, right?
Yeah, but it's a one-time thing. You get a good start, and then you kind of focus on other strategies.
You need to get a bit more volume, slightly more regular size.
Get more relevancy, work on your schema. You might consider switching from backlinks to referring domains. I don't even compete on backlinks anymore. For the past 2 years, I've only competed on referring domains, and probably about 80% of the time, I've gotten the #1 spot without having to compete on backlinks. And referring domains, it's the smallest number, it's the safest number, it's the cheapest number, and it's the fastest number. And it's a diversity signal, so I like it better because it's telling Google how many different places you draw authority from. That's a way better place to start. Let that fail first before you compete on backlinks.
Yeah, that's where we put the focus to figure out, okay, this site 50 referring domains that look like this. Our
Yeah.
client here. Okay, well, let's do this first, right?
A lot of people don't remember, but way back when it was called Google Webmaster Tools in its earlier half, they had a report on referring domains, and they very quietly took that report away. And they did that for a reason.
You mentioned Schema just now, and then you shared some pro tips on Schema earlier. If people want to know how to do Schema effectively, what would you recommend?
The basic advice I give people, and this was discovered by an SEO named Terry Samuels, so he gets credit for the discovery, and then it was peer-reviewed and confirmed by Clint Butler, and then I peer-reviewed it and confirmed it myself, because that's what we do as good testers. The thing you want to know is that on the descriptions and text fields, you want to be very verbose. So the plugins from like Yoast and stuff, they do nothing. So you need to actually get in there and make those description fields very verbose and very relevant and lots of entities and keyword matches. And not only that, any of the important words need to also appear in the visible content of your page. If that doesn't happen, Schema does nothing, because by itself, Schema won't do anything. But if Schema matches words in your visible content, then it's very powerful. You can rank a page to #1 using nothing but Schema and a title tag.
Yep. Now, this all you know because you've been doing testing for how many years?
Probably formally for 7 or 8, but in actuality for over 20.
Right.
Because when I started, I was hired as a entry-level website developer for a large online retailer. And they said, Ted, you're good with this competitive data stuff. You do the SEO. And so I talked to the owner of the business. I said, hey, why don't you let me experiment on that little store you're planning to shut down and do away with?
Okay.
And so I'd see what a guru would say, and then I'd test it out on the store, and I'd be like, nope, that didn't work. And then I'd find another guru, see what they had to say, test it out. Nope, that didn't work. Find the next guru. Hey, we found a winner. Then I go to the management team and say, I think on the other 14 sites, we should do X. Yeah, and so we do X. They give me a chance, and we get double-digit growth. And you go through three or four cycles of that, and they think you have the Midas touch, and within a year or so, you're the director of BI at the right hand of the CEO.
There you go.
So testing, it pays.
Sure does. Now, something that you mentioned to me around testing is that the testing community tends to be quite guarded of the secrets and the knowledge, right? Because
well, they're not super guarded, but they've been taken advantage of by lurkers for so long. Like everybody wants to join my testing club, but nobody wants to make the tests.
right.
So yeah, we don't like that, because we're working hard. Testers like to share their test with other testers who are going to peer review and confirm and share interesting tests that they need peer reviewed. So if it's just a bunch of lurkers or somebody who said, well, I paid a $20 membership fee, no, it's like some of these findings are, technically worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the really good ones are $1 million opportunities. So no. If you want to get into a community that's doing testing like that, you need to test. You need to share your data. And you probably need to share your data first. I'm one of the few exceptions where I share generally most of what I discover. I don't share other people's stuff. But mostly what I discover, I will just let go out there. But if I get $1 million idea, I'm making $1 million business. So if you're looking for those, you need to be part of the testing community. And out of all the people I've met in the world who are SEO testers and deliver on it, it's like 14 people. I mean, testers are so rare. And so, when I find one, I make sure that I have, a long-lasting relationship with that person where we're in communication and we're sharing information. That's how you get in the inner circle, is you actually do the hard work.
How does one get started with proper testing?
The fundamental mechanic is inventing imaginary keywords that the world has never seen. So the JL296AB QRS, those keywords we can then put on test pages and search for them and see how Google ranks them. So if we wanted to see are H1s better than H4s, we'd make 10 pages with H1s and 10 unique pages with H4s. We try to isolate the variables for density and word count and so on. And then there would be a shared imaginary keyword. And what we would want to see is that there's clearly one winning set above one losing set. And turns out, most SEOs didn't realize it, but there was a time for about 10 years that H4s were the strongest heading in SEO. And everybody stopped at H3. Why? They didn't think it was important. So what was the implication of that? Well, that's what all the web spam training sets also did. So the people who stopped at H3, they were more similar to web spam than the people who went to H4. So it became a beneficial factor. But these days, not so much, because now the web spam is more sophisticated. So that opportunity has left, but it pays to test because I knew it. I used it. It was fantastic.
So for someone who's now perhaps started their career in SEO, right? They got a job at an agency, they really want to get good, they don't believe that SEO is dead, what would you recommend to them?
With the right information, you can become the best SEO in the industry in about 2 years, and I've seen people do it. SEO is best paired with another primary skill. I would consider SEO to be a secondary skill. So really the power move is to be a web developer in an SEO, or a designer in an SEO, or a content writer in an SEO, or a project manager in an SEO. Pair it with something, and then you'll be kind of the best at that primary skill because you have awareness of the secondary skill that can benefit the business in many regards.
Awesome. Well, Ted, thank you very much for all the knowledge that you've shared.
You're very
Guys,
welcome.
Any questions for any follow-ups, as always, drop them in the comments. Love to hear, and then maybe I get fortunate to speak with you again, even if it's remotely.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm happy to do more shows.
Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You too.
You've been thoroughly generous.
Yeah.
Right. Bye, guys.